Good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, True Crimes Files with Kathy. Housekeeping rules: when you come in, please like, subscribe, all notifications, and share. An update from TMZ about Nancy Guthrie and Savannah. They both believe that the two of the four, I think it was, ransom notes are real, and they're wondering why, like I'm wondering why they never paid the ransom. I know it's a hard case, if you pay the ransom, you still might not get any results. But they didn't pay the ransom and they still haven't got any results. So I'm just going to play this short video from TMZ and see what you make of it, or bear with me a minute.
TMZ Live. There is a heart-wrenching interview that aired this morning on the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie, where she poured her heart out and talked about a lot. I want to start with what she said about the ransom note, because there's something interesting and even puzzling.
Right. She sat down with Hoda Kotb and talked about the myriad ransom notes that came in. Some of them which we received, other media outlets received them, and some of them actually went to the Guthrie family. And Savannah says something, you said, very interesting here. In light of, remember that when this was all going on, there was a moment, I believe it was the first weekend after, that Savannah and her siblings sat down and said that they were going to pay. So remember that. And now here's what she said about the ransom notes.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But, the person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the two notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
She's referring to the two notes that were sent to media outlets, including TMZ. It was sent by the same person or people. We received the first one, and in it, there was a demand for $4 million. If it wasn't met in a few days, there was a deadline where it increased to $6 million. And it said if that wasn't met by a deadline, they would kill Nancy Guthrie.
So what happened was that deadline passed. Then there was a second note that only went to, I believe it was KOLD in Tucson.
Right.
And then after that one, that's when she posted the video saying that they were going to pay.
And it was
now they hear her say that
the same person. And now she's saying they believe.
Right, and they believed it. So it makes sense that adds up with them sitting down saying we are going to pay. But so what happened?
We're trying to figure this out. Look, we've been in touch with authorities, including the FBI. And there is something that was said, because we have the Bitcoin address and we've monitored it. And that money was never put in there. So something happened, and we don't know what it is, but something happened where they decided with law enforcement that it wasn't a good idea to pay the money. And we can't answer that. But when you watch this, you just you're left wondering.
It sounds like she wanted to pay.
It's genuinely perplexing, because initially there might have been some idea that they were conditioning payment on proof of life coming. But the other video they posted sounded like that condition had been lifted, and they were agreeing to take a flyer on paying this amount and hopefully receiving their mother in return.
And to this day, she's saying she believes it's real.
Yeah, and if she believed it's real, why wasn't it sort of paid?
This is not in any way to suggest anything.
Not at all.
That was an error on the Guthrie family part.
No,
but there's something we just don't know.
That something happened in their communications, either with someone claiming to be the abductors or with law enforcement. There was some communication clearly why, even though she believes, and you heard her say it today, that she believes that those notes were real, but they didn't pay.
And she was also,
we were in touch with the FBI multiple times. every single day for about 3 weeks after the kidnapping.
They talked to our IT to get all the information about all the background metadata that was connected to the letters that we got.
I spoke to them
The emails we got.
countless times. And we could never make sense of this because, frankly, we believed they were real too. And based on our interactions with the FBI, they believed it was real. And I think they do believe that those ransom notes are real. But there is something that we just can't explain. That said, there is such an emotional side to this in terms of Savannah processing why her mother was kidnapped. And
Yes.
she is feeling blame.
She talked to Hoda about a conversation she had with her brother about why this happened.
When I called him, he knew.
He knew.
And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said,
Yeah.
what? Well, why? What? And then, I mean, it sounds so like how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said, I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me.
It sounds harsh to hear her brother maybe say that, but she says in the interview she also
She
knew
was
it.
already
She knew it
thinking
in her heart that she might have played a role in this. When you contextualize that with her blaming herself at the time, because this was a conversation shortly after the disappearance, and then the ransom notes, it becomes even more perplexing because if she had sort of the capacity and the power to pay the ransom, and
there's
she's
just
already
something-
blaming herself, we're missing something. We're missing some
definitely
connection.
missing something. And there's something that I think makes sense that we just can't figure out. But it is just
It's devastating.
so sad that, how do you compartmentalize that? That's going to be the job because the talk is that she's going to come back in
Next
April.
month, right?
And
And how is she going to
get through a day.
all those feelings that you hear her talking about? How
Put it
is
in
she
a
going
box in the morning.
She says she's leaning
That's
on
a
her
lot
faith,
to
which
put
we
in a
talked
box.
about, which is good in terms of supporting her, but also without the closure, it just becomes sort of a very difficult situation.
Hi, Vicky Ziegler from Livingston, New Jersey. This is unbelievable, the agony that the Guthries are going through, and especially Savannah. She is the public persona. Most people don't request ransoms unless they know somebody can pay them. And that's what's so troubling here, why a ransom has not been paid earlier, why it's taking so long to get these clues, and really thinking about her public persona and saying, wow, it's great to have all of the public trying to find my mom. But was I the cause of this? Is that the reason a family member, my beloved mother, was taken? That is so troubling. And to feel the palpability of the emotion that she's going through is heartbreaking. And for anybody that has a loved one that's missing, everybody can identify with this unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, there are a lot of people too. And it clearly does not go away.
Right. So what do you all think about that then? Let me make myself small because my screen thing's going weird on me. Where do I want it? So what do you think of this flipping screen thing? All think about it then. I'm trying to get it to stay still, but it's not staying still. If I stay like this, maybe. No. So I know they say the truth is always best, but in the heightened moment that Savannah and her family was going through with Nancy's disappearance, and her brother quickly saying, I think she was kidnapped for ransom. That seems a bit weird for him to say that straight away. Most people think she's been taken, she's been kidnapped, but you wouldn't necessarily think it's to ransom. Now, I know his general idea is probably because they're quite a wealthy family. So he's probably thinking in the eyes of the kidnapper, I'll take Savannah's mother because I know they can afford to pay whatever amount we ask for. But then I thought it was pretty harsh as well that when you're down, and like all of Savannah's family would have been feeling really crap and down because of the disappearance of her mum. But to kick her in the teeth by telling the truth when Nancy said to her brother, do you think this is because of me? And he turns around and says, I think so. Now, I believe if I was in that situation and say for argument's sake, my mother went missing, and I looked up to somebody and said, do you think it's because of me? If, I'd be devastated if they told me the truth. I think what her brother should have done was say it might not be, because I think that would have made Savannah feel just a tiny, tiny bit better. Not a whole lot better, but a tiny bit. Even though she had a gut feeling it might be down because of her. But we never know, do we? We will never know. Like I keep on saying, if eventually they do find the person that took Nancy, we still might not get the answers to exactly what happened, because he can say no comment all through the interview. And if he ends up going to jail for it, he could take the secret to his dying grave, which I really hope he doesn't. So another twist in the Nancy story. So leave in the comments what you think, and we'll go from there. So thanks a lot for watching. See you on the next one.